All right, let's talk about Azure Key Vault. It's an amazing service for managing your secrets. But man, when you get to TLS certificates, there are a few hidden traps that can cause some serious headaches. We're going to get right into them.
Look, Azure Key Vault is supposed to make this stuff easy. But the truth is, there are about 5 major gotchas that Microsoft kind of buries across like 15 different pages of documentation. So let me just save you all that pain and frustration right now. Okay, let's kick things off with the number one most common and honestly most infuriating problem, the URI trap. I swear, this one gets almost everybody the first time they try to hook Key Vault up to something, like an application gateway. So picture this. You set it all up. Your certificate is sitting right there in Key Vault. It looks perfect. You copy its ID, you plug it into your application gateway, and boom, secret not found. And you're just sitting there thinking, what are you talking about? It's right there. It's confusing, it makes you question everything, but the certificate is there. So what's really going on?
Well, the fix is so simple, but it's totally not obvious. You're probably using the URI from the certificates section of Key Vault. But, and this is the key, for any service that needs to actually decrypt traffic for TLS, you have to use the URI that points to the secrets endpoint. It's just one word difference, but it changes absolutely everything. So here's why that matters. When you create a certificate in Key Vault, it's not just one thing. It's actually a package deal. It creates the public certificate part that you can see, but it also creates a corresponding secret with the exact same name. And that secret? Well, that's where the magic is. It holds the full bundle, the cert, the chain, and most importantly, the private key. Your app gateway needs that private key to do its job, and it can only get it from that /secrets/endpoint. The /certificate/endpoint, that only gives out the public half, which is useless for TLS termination. All right, moving on to gotcha number 2. This one is all about importing certificates. You'd think this would be straightforward, right? But nope, a few tiny formatting issues can throw some of the most cryptic errors you've ever seen. Just look at some of these. You might get an error like, unable to parse X5C chain. That sounds super complicated, but like half the time it's just because you copied the certificate text from a Windows machine and it has the wrong line endings. Or how about certificate name already exists? That's because of what we just learned. A certificate also creates a secret, and if you already have a secret with that same name, the import's gonna fail. But, out of all these little traps, there's one mistake that stands head and shoulders above the rest. It is by far the most common reason imports fail, especially when you're using PEM files. Any guesses? Yep, that's it. You forgot to include the private key. See, a PEM file for a Key Vault import isn't just the certificate part. It has to be one single file that contains both the certificate and its matching private key. Key Vault needs the complete pair to manage it. If you just upload the certificate file on its own, you're going to get that private key is not specified error every single time. Okay, on to gotcha number 3. Now this one's a big one because it's about a killer feature, automatic certificate renewal. The promise is you just set it and forget it and you never have to worry about an expired cert again, right? Well, not exactly. There's a pretty huge catch. Here it is, that native built-in push-button auto-renewal feature. It only works if you're using certificates issued by Key Vault's integrated partners, which are DigiCert and GlobalSign. So if you're using Let's Encrypt or your own internal company CA, yeah, that awesome auto-renew feature does absolutely nothing. So for the rest of us, the answer is automation. You can, of course, just set up email notifications, which is better than nothing, I guess. But the real modern way to solve this is with Event Grid. You can have it watch for the certificate near expiry event and then trigger an Azure function or a Logic app to go run whatever custom script you need to get a new certificate. That's the robust way to handle it. This next gotcha is a little more subtle, but it will drive you absolutely crazy when you run into it. It usually happens when you're trying to clean things up or maybe fix a mistake. You delete a certificate, and then you immediately try to create a new one with the exact same name. And the whole thing fails. The portal tells you the certificate is gone, but the command line says it already exists. What is happening? The culprit is soft delete. It's now mandatory on all new Key Vaults. So when you delete a certificate, it's not really gone. It's just moved into a recovery state for a while, and it's still holding on to that name. You can't reuse the name until that soft deleted item is permanently purged. So you either have to purge it manually or, probably better, just give your new certificate a slightly different name. Okay, last one, our final gotcha.
And this is the moment where it feels like your automation totally failed you. You've done it. You successfully renewed your certificate in Key Vault. A new version is active and ready to go. But your users are hitting your website and they're still getting that scary browser warning. Your app is serving the old expired certificate. What went wrong?
The problem is all about how you told your app to find the certificate in the first place. If you gave it the full URI that includes that long version ID at the end, you've basically pinned your application to that one specific version forever. It's never going to look for a new one. The correct way to do it is to use the versionless URI, just the base name. That way, services like App Gateway will automatically check in with Key Vault and pull down the latest active version whenever it changes. So now that we've gone through the 5 big gotchas, let's just take a quick step back. For those of you who live in a multi-cloud world, you might be wondering, how does Key Vault stack up against its main rival over in AWS, the AWS Certificate Manager, or ACM? They really have different philosophies. With Key Vault, you can export the private key if you want to. That gives you a ton of flexibility, but it also puts the security responsibility on you. Over in AWS, ACM locks the private key away. You can't export it by default. That's simpler, maybe more secure in some ways, but it's way less flexible. And look at auto-renewal again. ACM will auto-renew any certificate it issues for free. Key Vault's native auto-renewal, as we know, is limited to just those 2 premium partners. They're both great tools, they just solve the problem in very different ways. So let's wrap this all up. After digging through all 5 of these gotchas, what are the key best practices that you really need to remember? Let's just boil it all down to 3 simple, critical rules. Number 1, for any service that's doing TLS termination, always use the /secrets/URI. Number 2, to make sure those services pick up new certificates automatically, always use the versionless URI. And number 3, on any Key Vault you use for production, please enable purge protection. It is your ultimate safety net against accidents or someone doing something they shouldn't. Honestly, these 5 gotchas are the root cause of the vast majority of certificate problems in Key Vault. Now that you know what they are, you are way ahead of the game. So, are you ready to put these headaches behind you for good? If you want to go even deeper, we've put together everything from this explainer, plus a lot more, into a full written guide. It's got every single CLI command and PowerShell script you'll need, all ready to copy and paste. You can find all of it over at fixmycert.com. Thanks so much for watching.